We are live.
Wow.
Gotta wait for
We're
the
back on.
meeting. Yeah, man, we're
Yeah.
live. We're back in the building. We're back in the building.
Yeah, man. We're back on, man. Feels good to be back.
Back at it. Yep. Just gonna get the links all prepared up, man, and we'll be good to go. Just bear with us for a second, guys, as we get the analytics behind the scenes taken care of for just a second.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. I just exited something, huh?
That's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. We're good to go. I think I deleted something. I mean, like I exited something by accident, but I was already good though. I'm caught up with everything. I was just too many programs actually not good though. But
Yes, sir.
I recently, bro, heard an episode of the TK Kirkland podcast, and my one friend was in there. This kid that I know, he was in it. I was like, that's what's up. Though. He got to meet TK Kirkland, who's like a comedian, stand-up comedian. Good
Very
guy.
cool. Very cool.
And that was actually about 38 minutes of an episode. So see what I'm saying? You're right. Definitely keep him a little
bit on the shorter side, right? So I'm gonna share my screen. I'll play a little intro we put together for you guys. Crafted it up. Sound quality might be a little choppy, but we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
All right.
Hacks for you, some tips for you to be.
Ooh. Play that from the beginning. Oop. It wants to keep disappearing.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I see it.
Yeah, I had to click that right there.
This is what you're talking about. It gets a little choppy around here, right? Sometimes, I notice sometimes it just lags a little bit here and there, but usually you're pretty good with this. Oh, nice. I like that. How you appear that. The animation was good.
Locked In Nation. Yep. Good evening and welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, your home for personal development tips, sports news, music, and more. You are now in tune with episode 32 of the podcast. And one of the topics that we at the Locked In Podcast have been striving to get to for quite a long time, but have not touched on yet, is the topic of personal finance and money management. And that's exactly what we're going to cover this week. We're here to introduce to you part one of a money management personal finance series that we have crafted together. Now, this week's episode of the Locked In Podcast will simply feature the hosts of the podcast, I, Steve Ushler, and George Mentai. And for part two of this series, which will be in the near future, we will feature multiple guests. There will be three in particular, and they have expertise in the fields of credit management, savings, investing, and some other portions of personal finance. So we'll bring to you that soon. But this week's episode, we're going to give you a 45-minute crash course on personal finance and money management. More specifically, we're going to break down the factors that affect your credit and how to attain good credit. We're also going to go into some saving tips. If you're struggling to save money, we'll have some little hacks for you, some tips for you to be able to save money more efficiently. And we're also going to touch on investing. If you have struggled to get started with investing, or maybe you have been investing just a little bit, but you want to know some more information, we're going to go into the different types of funds when it comes to investing and the different type of apps. And, we'll give you some sound strategies on how to get started with investing. So this is going to be a very important topic for a lot of people because managing money efficiently seems to be something that, even some of the best people struggle with in life. And it's obvious why. It's because it requires a strong mental discipline. So I'm excited to hop into this one. I'm excited to bring to you guys this one. And, we're excited to bring to you guys some great content. We're ready to hop into it. So strap in, come along for the ride with us. We're going to bring to you guys the good content, the tips. Sit back and listen. It's going to be a fun ride. I do want to make a disclaimer before we do hop into this one that I, Steve Ushler, and my co-host George Mentai are not financial advisors. We are not licensed financial advisors in any way. We are strictly going off of our personal experience when it comes to personal finance and money management. So this is just off our personal experience. We are not licensed financial advisors. But anyway, sit back, come along for the ride, and enjoy the show. Featuring, as always, Steve Ushler and George Mentai. Enjoy the show.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So let me just exit this this YouTube video. It puts like the screen down weird sometimes.
We're live and
there we go. All right, cool. What's going on, Locked In Nation? Welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, your home for personal development tips, sports news, music, and more. Hope you guys like that intro. It's a little long, but we're about to hop into it here. And as you saw, it's a person. This is going to be part one of a personal finance money management series that George and I have crafted together. So we have some future episodes in mind, not just one, actually, not just a part two, but we're going to have some future episodes down the line, multiple episodes where we feature solid guests. Today's episode is just going to feature us two. We're the main hosts of the Locked In Podcast. I'm your host for the evening, Steve Ushler, and joined alongside me, as always, is the other half of the Locked In Podcast, George Mentai. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing today? How's your day going so far?
I'm doing well, man. I'm excited to hop into this topic because I think that this has been a long-awaited one. This is going to add value, and as I said, it's just going to be 45-minute crash course tonight. We're going to break down credit. We're going to touch on savings. We're going to touch on investing. 45 minutes of your time from this point forward, starting now, it's going to be just a little crash course. So we're going to go off of our personal experience. As you heard in the video, we are not licensed financial advisors in any way, shape, or form. We are solely going off of personal experience and things that have worked for us in the terms of managing our credit, saving money, and investing money. So I'm excited to hop into it. I don't know about you, man, but I think this is a long-awaited topic.
Yeah, I would agree, bro. It's been a while, man. Like you said, it's going to be a little different from now on. We're going to probably have some shorter episodes. Today, particularly, might be a little shorter because obviously, you know, we're a little busy after this, and I'm a little booked after this too. But it's going to be a good episode. And like I said, that thing's going to definitely bring some value, some awareness a little bit. We might not be exactly financial advisors or experts in this field, but we'll definitely have enough knowledge to hold a nice conversation and to kind of, you know, bring some of our audience something that they, you know, they may have heard before, but definitely haven't really heard it much from us. You know, they have heard something similar. We definitely have touched on some stuff, but not like really the main objective of this course today, of this little crash course, if you will, or this episode. So, yeah, I'm excited, bro, and I'm very. It's like I'm kind of motivated because I feel like even just by talking about it, even if you know it, you learn it again. Even you saying some words sometimes, you know, words are powerful. You know, when you know you can't waste words. So it's like, you know, right now we're gonna get into a nice little topic and you know, have some nice points. We're gonna touch some good points. You know.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the objective for tonight is to be able to walk out of this podcast, or when you stop listening tonight, to have learned at least a thing or two. Now, as George said, you might know some of these things, but not everybody, believe it or not, just from talking to people, they don't really understand that much about personal finance. People might have made correct money decisions without even really knowing it, but definitely, I mean, you know, wealth is definitely a part of success in life. So if we can teach you a thing or two tonight, and you know, we can help you, and definitely in some of these future episodes. This has been a well requested episode from a couple people that I personally know. So I definitely think people can use as much knowledge as they can about personal finance, because it's definitely, even some of the best of us struggle with it. You know, it requires a strong mental discipline. So we're going to hop into it. The timeline of how we're going to kind of do this tonight is we're going to touch on credit first, then we're going to move to some savings tips, and then we're going to finish up by touching on investing, just basically how to get started. And maybe if you are started, just like some of the top, like we'll talk about the funds that go into investing and a lot of different things here. So let's just hop into it. So before we hop into it, 3 things you guys got to do as always. Number 1, if you like our content, spread the word about our content, share our content. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, you know, put that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button and hit that notifications bell, because we release content every Thursday or every Friday, depending on the week, and you don't want to miss it. Number 2, if you see something you like or you have value to add to the podcast tonight, especially with this being a personal development episode, comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. We will get back to you. Promise you that. And number 3, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast. It's 2021, guys. As we always say here, be true and be you. I got the water here, so let me just sip this.
True and be you, man. Yeah, man. It's hot as hell, bro. Whoa. Definitely kind of hot. We talked about this, though, but it's just, you know, it's a very humid day. The rain did make it much easier. You rained a little, but it just tricked us because it is dry rain.
Right.
Dry
All right,
rain.
guys. So I'll kick this one off, George. Kick it off right here.
Yeah.
We'll hop into the topic of credit. So we were even kind of talking about this before the show. I went to school for finance, but in courses in school, they never teach you about personal finance. They teach you about corporate level finance and things of that nature. They never teach you about credit or like taxes or anything of that nature. And credit is so paramount in life. It's so important because unless you have the money to buy something outright, unless you're born into wealth and like you have millions of dollars where you can just buy a house outright, you can buy cars outright, and you have a stockpile of cash, credit is very important because you need credit in order to finance the car. You need good credit in order to get a solid mortgage on a home. Credit is very, very important. I think that most people understand that at this point in life. It's 2021. Most people understand that credit is important. A lot of people, I think, from conversations, do not really understand what affects credit. And there's 5 keys that I want to break down for you guys. There's 5 keys or 5 factors that vastly affect your credit. Number one question is, before we even go into those 5 factors, have you started building credit? That's the first thing you have to ask yourself, because if you don't have a credit card, you don't have student loans, you don't have anything that's required you to start building your credit. If you have it, I suggest you start ASAP. You can never be too young or too early. If you're over 18 years old, you can get a credit card. I would say everybody looks at credit cards. Would you agree with this, George? Everybody kind of looks at credit cards in a negative way. A lot of people credit cards, I don't want to put anything on a credit card because people can get carried away. Yeah.
What about that, bro? I think you know what it is? People they tend to hear like all the negative stories and whatever surrounds a credit card, an application, or you have one, so they think like, oh, well, I gotta pay it back. And because a lot of people, in fact, myself included, it's funny you said it. I had a credit card after 18, but I was younger than like 25. I think I was like around 22, 23, 24. I ended up shutting it down, but I did have I closed it, whatever, but I had a credit card. And I got caught up one time and not paying it. I think he went a little over, but eventually I kind of settled it down. And people, oftentimes you said, and we'll get to these in a little bit because we're not going to necessarily rush the topic, but people don't always pay it off on time and they get caught up. So they feel like you said, it's like, oh, well, credit card, they're only after my money. They let the little small fears, sort of interject, and they don't really, they don't get educated enough to be like, okay, well, a credit card could be fine if you do your research and if you sort of like consistently check it, which again, people don't do. And I mean, I know I didn't do it. But I mean, you blame me? I was 22, 23 at the time. I didn't know much about, definitely not as much as I know now about credit. So,
right.
It takes a little time for you to get used to it. So it's good to be, if you're younger, to have a guy that's a little older to show you things. I mean, you're 28 now, I'm 32, I'd be 33. It's way different from us. I don't mean us. I mean, people who were like after college or in college, because you don't know what later on in life. Yeah,
I would say the main fear with credit is people losing track. Like credit can be, you can keep adding things to your credit card and not have the means to pay them off. So that's the biggest key thing is you need to have the means to pay off a credit card too. Like a lot of people look at credit cards as free money. They think that, oh, I'm going to add something to it. And, oh, I'll pay it off later. But like you got to track it as an expense. If you use credit cards right, they can be phenomenal. So like building your credit is paramount. I suggest everybody starts building their credit. Get a credit card. If you're worried, get a credit card with a very low limit. Get $500 in funds. There's even some out there that have only $200 in credit limit. If you're scared that you're going to get too tempted, you can get a secured card that will get you a low credit limit so you don't get carried away. And then as you become responsible, you can build that up. So that's the question you have to ask yourself first. Have you even been building your credit? So start building your credit as early as you possibly can. Even if you're older now, start today. It doesn't matter. Just start building your credit because credit is important. So the 5 factors. So I'll also talk about credit card rewards too. But the 5 factors that affect your credit score. Your credit score is obviously important. And I'll just break it down for you. Anything above 700 is considered good. Anything above 760, so like 761 to 850 is considered excellent. Anything below 700, I think it's too.
You're in a danger zone. Like
I want to say anywhere to like 550 is considered, or 600 is considered average, and anything below that to like 300, which I've never ever seen in my life, is considered like really, really bad. I think it's got to be kind of hard to get that low unless you have like severe bankruptcies and you have liens, which, you know, some people do have. There's always ways to get out of it, and improve your credit, but it could take longer depending on if you have Chapter 7 bankruptcies or, you know, a lot of different things.
Bankruptcy is its own thing, though. I mean, we're not going to get into that too much, but bankruptcy, in other words, you have that. Like you're saying, bro, just if I might intervene a second. If you have bankruptcy, then you look at it's almost like you got to like pay off the interest or pay off whatever you have. So it's like you're kind of screwed a little bit and have to get back to zero. It's like almost like you think about this like a timeline. You have the numbers this way, you have the zero, then you have minus. Like your minus, for example, now you have to come back to zero to be somewhat like, you know, in at least a starting point, then a little low credit to normal credit, then to get up there. So realistically, it'll take time. But we're not talking about guys that have bad credit. We're talking about guys that have maybe decent credit to okay credit and a little bad credit, and also some ways you could improve credit. And probably realistically, we'll talk about this next time more in depth. But yeah, if you have some bad credit, I mean, what you want to do is kind of like try to get caught up and, you know, even talk to an advisor. And that's actually one of the steps about building credit, which I'll get into later with some of my steps, you know, that stuff that I've done, you know, that I've gathered. But if you have bad credit, I mean, the first thing to do is, you know, don't necessarily panic. It's not the end of the world, but you do know that you have to kind of like, you know, start thinking about kind of fixing your credit, and it can be fixed, like you said, bro. Although I've seen, and again, don't quote me this, I'm not exactly sure. Some people say it takes a while to fix the credit. It could take like months to years. It depends. It all depends where you are and if you're bankrupt. I never knew anybody that was really bankrupt that told me they had bad credit. I mean, as far as like anybody personally in my circle, but I know guys like, you know, guys that I know, they don't have friends, you know, they have other friends out there, and they've been a little situations like that. But you know, they've also been able to kind of bounce back, which is, you know, it's always good, and it's always impressive because I mean, bad credit, like you said, bro, it could be very detrimental.
Yes, definitely, man.
Finance and everything.
So, guys, once you have your credit established and everything, and you have credit cards and everything like that, the 5 factors that mainly affect your credit are: number 1, your payment history. So I'll just name all 5 and then I'll break them down real quick. Payment history is the most crucial part. Payment history actually makes up 35%, believe it or not, of your credit score. 35%. So if you're making late payments or you're not paying your payments at all, that's significantly going to affect your credit score. Number 2, and I'll just go through them and then I'll break them back down. Number 2 is your credit utilization rate. Number 3 is your credit length history. Number 4 is your credit mix. And number 5 is the amount of new accounts you've opened in a certain time period, which is they usually measure it by a year. So payment history, like I said, it's 35% of your credit score. It's monumental. If you're not making payments, you need to be paying the minimum balance of your credit card at least every month. And I would highly suggest you actually just pay the entire balance, because if you don't, you're going to rack up interest charges, which are, if you're trying to save money, it's a no-no, because interest charges are just going to, it makes no sense. If you can't afford something, don't throw it on your credit card. Emergencies happen. I get that. To emergency funds when we hit savings, but credit payment history is number 1. I think that's pretty obvious. If you're not making your payments on time or you're just not making them at all, obviously it's paramount. So 35% of your credit score is affected by your payment history. Remember that one. So when we go to the credit utilization rate, or your amounts owed, that's 30% of your credit score. And what credit utilization rate is, just in layman's terms, it's just the amount of credit you're using at this current time, like any given month, it's divided by the amount of credit limit you actually have across all your accounts. Say you have $25,000 in credit limit across 5 credit cards and you're using 5,000 of it. That means you have a credit utilization rate of 20%. You're using 20% of your credit. And the higher that utilization rate is, the more negatively it will impact your score. So that's 30%. So just right off the bat. Yeah. So just right off the bat, credit history and utilization rate are 65%, because that's 30%. 65% of your credit score is comprised of them 2 factors alone. Number 3 is your credit history length. This one is kind of, you can't really control it. If you're a new credit card user, you're just going to have to.
But right. When you start credit, that is the beginning.
Yeah, you're just going to have be a responsible credit card user for a long length of time.
I've been for the beginning, you know.
Yeah, I've had a credit card since I was 19, so nine years now, and mine is still considered average. I'm still considered average because I don't have a credit card as long as like 30 years stuff, which is impossible. I'm not even 30 years old, but this comprises about 15% of your score, so it's not too much, to be honest, but still an important factor. The other one is credit mix. This is 10% of your credit score. Basically, this is just how many different financial or credit products you're using. So it can be anywhere from student loans, mortgages, credit products, car loans, all different types of things. Like, I'm not going to disclose what my score is, but my score is kind of high. It's very high, to be honest, but it's not like super, like right at the top near 850 because I don't have a mortgage. And that one, I actually was talking to a credit loan agent. They're like, yeah, you know, you need to take on. I have student loans and a lot of other different things, but I don't have a mortgage yet. So I don't have a home yet.
I'm upset to cut you off, but don't forget private loans too, because you have student loans, but the federal and private loans are even worse, bro. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, but they just consider student loans as just one big thing, no matter federal or private when it comes to that. So it's not a big deal. And then the last one is just new credit. How many accounts have you been opening in a year? So every time you open an account, you're at risk for having a hard inquiry. And all that is, you know, a credit agency will reach out regarding your status of your credit score and things like that, of that nature. From my personal experience, like I would say, don't open more than 2 credit cards per year. I think that's a standard. Keep it to 2 a year, just from my personal experience. And your credit score won't be negatively affected. You could get a hard inquiry, but that's okay. Even if your score goes down a little bit, it only affects 10% of your score. Even if it goes down a little bit, you can bounce back from that, no problem. Yeah. So that makes up 100%. It's those 5 characteristics. And then if I like some advice too, of how to improve your credit score, I want to offer some tips on that too. And then George, I'll let you also talk about credit. You can harp on some things, but basically I would say when it comes to trying to improve your credit, there's multiple things to look at. Number one, like I said, build your credit file, have a long length of history. Don't miss payments. So even if your credit, I think that's obviously this is obvious, obvious, but pretty crucial. Is don't miss payments. If you already have a bad credit score, at least get that monthly minimum payment in. Even though I suggest to you to pay the balance, if you can't afford to pay the balance, I would say get that minimum payment in. Now, if you are dealing with a hardship, you can reach out to your credit card company and you can see what your options are. So always talk to people. Don't just let things sit. Don't just not make payments. You know, get in contact with the credit card agency and see what you can do. Most times people will be willing to help you. You just need to speak up and stand up for yourself, honestly, and just, you know, be honest with people. And another tip, catch up on past due accounts. So I think that's another one that's obvious.
That's very important, actually. That's actually one of my ones as well. But go ahead, bro. Since you're already on the topic.
Yeah, it could take you a couple of years. It could take you a year. It could take you months. It might not take you maybe a couple of weeks, but catch up on those accounts. Like, just make a valiant effort to just catch up on those accounts and pay them down. Like I said, at least get the minimum in, but it's going to be hard to pay down your account if you're just paying the minimum. I'm going to be honest with you. But because it's just going to keep building interest anyway. But pay as much as you can each month. And see, like I said, reach out to your credit card company and see what they can do for you. Limit how often you apply for new accounts. So this kind of goes off the fifth tip I said for your factors for credit. Don't open, from my personal experience, more than 2 accounts per year. The one good thing about opening a new credit card account, it actually harps on factor number 2, your credit utilization rate. So if you open a new account for $5,000 and your credit was at $25,000 was your credit limit before, right, across 5 different credit cards. If you open a 6 credit card and that's $5,000, now you got $30,000. So just think about that for a second. If you're dividing $5,000 by $30,000, your credit utilization rate is going to be lower than dividing $5,000 by $25,000, right? Correct. So opening a new credit card can actually lower your credit utilization rate, which is actually good. You just got to be careful of how many accounts you're opening and how many hard inquiries you're getting here. So as I said, for a rule of thumb, I would say no more than 2 a year. Keep it to 2 a year. Even if you do back-to-backs, that's a good rule of thumb for me. So those are just and my last tip, I would say pay down your revolving your credit balances, and which kind of harps on your short-term credit balance, but just pay off your balances. That's the main thing you got to do. And pay off your balance. Don't miss payments. Find ways to lower your credit utilization rate. These things are very, very important. But we'll go more into depth in a future episode here. But those are the basic things. Those are the factors that affect your credit scores and things that I would suggest when it comes to improving your score. And as I said, call your credit agency, see what you can do. You can definitely talk to professionals who can tell you what to do here. But those are my tips, and those are the factors. George, do you have anything to add here about credit?
Right. I just want to touch up on a few things you said, bro. I agree with everything you said, bro. Very good insights, information. So obviously, guys, like Steve was saying, it's very important, that you build your credit a certain way. So obviously, number one rule of thumb, like you said, pay the bills, pay your loans or your mortgage or car loans. And if you are going a little behind, like I said, as long as you pay something, or you try to kind of stay on top of it, whether you got to contact somebody, when because stuff happens in life, you don't know how that goes. So be, kind of like, be sure that if you do miss a payment, know that like, try to kind of keep your the rates and all that, and what's it called, the interest down. So try to catch up on that and have a good history. Another thing, like you said, past bills, try to and past fees and all that, trying to get them taken care of ASAP. And there's ways to do it. Like I said, in a month, if you can't do it, just kind of make sure that like when the time of month comes, or how much, even if you pay the lowest possible, be like I do. I was paying for my loans. I was paying very low, and I had interest, but I was, because you gathered up, but I was paying very low, a loan, sort of like bill a month. And then when things got a little better, and because I was going through a lot, changing jobs and all that. Obviously COVID last year, did a lot. I don't want to get into all that, but COVID definitely slowed all things down. Even people have been paying loans because the government lets you get away, kind of like let you slide for a while, but it's only so much you can kind of go with that. So being that we're in 2021 now, things change, you're coming back to paying loans. Also, for the record, just you that were wondering, I never really stopped paying some of my loans. And so, some like as far as my credit goes, I was paying and stuff. But because students got a big break because of COVID, I was kind of like a little on the safe side. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Like I wasn't really paying, but I was paying my side loan, which was only 25, but 25 times 3 is 75. So I was paying 75 a month, which is not a lot of money, but it's at the same time, when things are kind of hard and you're trying to, budget certain things, it's not a cakewalk. So I took care of that. I also contacted them. And that's another thing I did, bro, by the way. When I couldn't really afford to do it before, like over a year ago, I would call them and be like, I made a payment. I said, but can I kind of, just like, I straight told them, can I take my time with it? As long as I pay, like, as long as you make some kind of payments, even if you're not paying no 3 loans, pay like 2 of them. Then, like say like you got to pay by the 24th of each month, pay at least 2 of them, and then pay the third one by like the 28th. It gives you an extra 4 days if, you get paid that way, and then consolidate it. So that was one way to do it. I'll pay my loans. Now I'm actually caught up. So that helped me. In the long run, it might not seem like a lot, but as you already know, bro, it's helping me build my kind of like regain my credit a little more, not that I have bad credit, but I mean, it's not as great as it should be, I'll just leave it at that. So I did that. Another thing, again, catch up with bills, stay on top of your progress, so kind of make sure that like, where your credit's at, make sure that you're not opening up too many credit cards, you said, or getting caught up, because, and again, I don't want to get into too much crazy story, but at one point I had 3 bank accounts, right? It was crazy. It was kind of cool in a way, because you got to have the money in them, but it's wild too. And even though I was making okay money then, it was a lot, bro, because one bank, and again, I don't get too deep into the bank thing, but one bank needed $500 in a virtual wallet. Another one had a second wallet for like as a saving one, and you had to have a fee. And this is PNC Bank I'm talking about. I had Citizens, which I closed an account a little after like the Eagles won the Super Bowl, which was in 2018. That was like a little after, like it was around like May of 2018. I completely closed it down. But for about 4 months, I had 3 accounts. And well, what happens? Again, pros and cons. It's cool because it looks cool. Like, oh, you have 3 accounts. You can use credit cards. You're making money, this and that. But if you're not saving your money and keeping up with the bank fees and your credit's not great like that, bro, they can take money in your account. Your loans, car notes. I didn't have a car note, but I had loans. I was also helping my folks a little, pay like, the mortgage. And that's another thing that adds up. I mean, we touched on a little earlier, but mortgage can really be really hard, bro, especially if it's a high rate mortgage, so yeah, that's a whole other topic. We'll see the mortgage for next episode, next week or whenever, or the other week, but we'll definitely touch on that a little as well again. So again, bro, keeping up your progression, don't overwhelm yourself, but if you go through it, I mean, like I said, man, I would call if I had to, right, like the loans people, I sure I'll call them, like on some real man stuff. I was like, I'm going through a little, can you guys work with me? They said sure, and we worked it out. But I'll say this to say that or say that to say this, that if you're going through a lot with the loans, kind of like prioritize everything, like you said. We'll get to this later too, the money saving ideas. Save your money up a little and pay what you got to pay first, though. Make sure your things are paid. Make sure, if you got to, get a loan from the bank or looking for a loan, you're good to go and you have decent credit, Another thing is also become an authorized user. You know what I'm talking about, more likely. But an authorized user, so if you were a loved one or somebody has a, so basically, they have like a good credit score, right? You can actually be added to there, to them. So we could do it with hold on. You can do it through Capital One, but you don't got to be a Capital One user. You
can
know what
do
I
it.
mean? So they can add you to the account. Yeah. So it's like basically you somebody you trust. You go in with a good credit score. They can add you as an authorized user to the account, and then this allows you to make purchases. But of course, the primary holder, he's the ultimate, responsible for payments, obviously, because you'd be kind of like put onto the account. So it's, if somebody in the family, I mean, your brother, your sister, or somebody you're close with, a loved one, some significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife.
Yeah, authorized user is definitely important. You can
It's a really good step.
It's a way to improve your credit for sure.
For sure, yeah. So it's one of the other ones. Another one, like I said, I think we said this one. Okay, yeah, catch up on that. On top of it, yeah, this is some of mine, bro. Of course, pay your bills on time, And also, yeah, another one. I didn't write this down, but I definitely had it in my mind. And I mean, I wasn't even read about this. Don't be scared to, even if you're doing well and you see your credit, you think your credit is going well, and it is, and you're checking on it. Be okay with the fact that you can still see an advisor like one. It doesn't have to be once, like every 6 months or every 6 months. Even once a month or every 2-3 months. Call the person if you couldn't like that, because you can't actually call them. Go see them. Yeah. I met this kid, right? About in September, I met a kid who does this kind of stuff, and a financial advisor. His name is Kevin. Ironically, he plays soccer too, so I'll be talking. I actually got to call him a little just to kind of catch up a little and ask some questions. Super important, bro. Even just I cannot stress enough how important it is to know somebody that, and you don't gotta be friends, because me and this guy, we're like good acquaintances. I couldn't say we're friends, maybe in the future, but it's definitely good to know somebody because they can really direct you, bro, and give you a lot of points.
The only thing I would say with financial advisors, and I worked for Bank of America for a little bit. Be careful, because financial advisors will also charge you though too. I personally believe that, yeah, if you know someone who can offer you free financial advice, by all means. But I'm not trying to put down the profession of a financial advisor. Here's the thing now. If you don't have large sums of money in your bank account, I personally don't believe that you honestly need a financial advisor, just because I think you can honestly be able to manage your own money. There's so many tools online where you can just manage your own money and make it automatic.
I agree. I mean, as far as that,
for sure.
It would be another way to kind of spend your money, but I was thinking more like with some free help. If you know somebody, or even like if you go to the bank and just like kind of pick their brains, they won't charge you on that. But if you're talking about a session, obviously, it's like you're consulting them. That's their job. So
financial, they charge you.
Pay they charge. You would know more than anybody because you work with something really similar. You've done school for this, but and if you're seeing them, like if you're paying them monthly and they're really helping you, like you said, it's cool. But again, what did we say earlier before the show? It's just another way, for you to have small things, like on your bank statement, where you spend your money now because you're paying the financial advisor. So if you can save your money and not do that, that's cool. But then again, I'm not discouraging somebody from going there. If you have the money to be for it, then go for it. If you feel like, you stay sharp and really you have like an accountant, if you have a lot of money, right? A financial advisor, I mean, nothing wrong with that. But like you said, you even said some tips earlier of how to save money, and we'll get into some tips, like later on.
We can hop into like savings. I think we honestly touched a lot on credit, and I just want to keep up with like looking at the time and all that. Savings now. Yeah, financial advisors, believe me, I could bend your ear about like how they won't even take customers if they don't have certain net worths in their bank account just from transferring calls and stuff. I'm not going to get into all that here today, though. We can cover that a long segment. Believe me, there's so much you could talk about finance, but let's hop on to number 2 here, man. Let's keep it moving along. Good points. Good points as always. Credit. So, guys, that was the quick crash course on credit. We're going to hop into savings now. So, I'll kick.
Your favorite one.
Yeah, I'll kick. This is obviously an important one because savings is this is one of the biggest things that people struggle with. So I'm just gonna hop in right with my tips that I would offer you if you're struggling to save money right now. Believe me, in my early 20s, I struggled to save money before I really even got into like Template or anything, and I was living like paycheck to paycheck. It's a struggle when you're young. I mean, it's a struggle for people when they're older, to be honest, but I was able to develop. Yeah, I was able to develop a solid system that really got me on track, and now my money just flows, man, because like everything is just automation is so key when it comes to this. But I'm going to say tip number 1 is obviously create a budget, and there's no excuse for you not to be able to do it. Today we live in the digital age. You can create budgets and spreadsheets right from your computer. George, I actually told you about this. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you how easy it actually is to do this. If you have Microsoft Office, this is how easy it's going to be. Just give me 1 second. It'll only take 10 seconds. So I'm going to.
All right, no, it's okay, bro. We got some. We can start this topic.
Yeah, so if you guys, I mean, as long as you're not listening to this on Spotify, if you're actually watching this on YouTube or Facebook, you'll be able to see what I'm doing here. That's why I try not to share my screens. So can you see my screen all right, George? Just
I see it perfectly.
Okay,
It
cool.
looks good.
So, guys, if you open up Microsoft Excel, if you actually open up the app, if you have Microsoft Office, and you have Microsoft Excel, this is just one way you can do it. So, if you have a newer version of Excel, literally, you'll see up here as soon as you open up a new tab, the first thing at the top, you're going to see there's all different types of, budgets and all different. So here I go to new, or if you go to open, let me actually just do this here. Go over here, you're going to see that there's like budgets, there's different things you can do. Let's say
spreadsheets. Yeah, you can just name him. Actually, bro, and you know about this because you use it every day for work. There's a whole thing because it's budgeting only. Because I've used some Excel too. So
yeah, you see this over here. You see this little thing over here. It says more templates. If you literally click this when you first open up a thing, it'll bring you to a whole template. Now there's all different types of things you can do here. But if you click over here at budgets, it will literally show you how to create a budget. Like there's all different types of ones. There's a wedding expense budget. Like these are templates that people created and they put them in here for people to utilize. So I think this is one of the better ones. I actually use this one myself sometimes. Let's say a personal monthly budget, and we'll hit create.
So what you want to do with your month? Like kind of basically budget money for a month. So it's like references in a way, plans. But
yeah, so tab number one.
Programs.
Yeah, so exactly. So tab number one just explains the budget. Tab number two, you literally input everything on your own. Like literally, it covers everything, man. It goes down here, housing. You can input things yourself, credit cards, all different types of stuff, man. It just
some people don't use this, bro, but people should definitely start using Excel more, bro. I gotta recommend it. I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm not a spokesman for Excel, but it's really useful. It's a really good tool for sure.
It's a useful tool. So, I mean, that's step number one, create a budget. And as someone in finance, I honestly will tell you that I advocate that everybody should be able to have money set aside that they can enjoy themselves. So if you like going out on weekends, you like going out with friends, you like going out and ordering drinks, you like going out and eating out, you like ordering things online, like whatever it is, have money set aside for fun money for you to enjoy. Because honestly, if you're just strictly saving every single penny you own, I mean, while you can do that, I think you're going to drive yourself nuts. So even if it's just a little bit, depending on what your savings goals are, I definitely allocate to have just a little bit of money for yourself to enjoy yourself. Maybe you like drinking coffee like every day. Allocate some money aside where you can go out, and maybe you like coffee from Starbucks or Dunkin'. You literally don't like making your coffee at home. Allocate some money to yourself that you can do that. But if it's not a necessity, if you literally feel like you can live without it, then yeah, by all means cut. So my motto is when it comes to saving money, set aside money for the things you enjoy, and the things that you don't need, mercilessly cut them out. Like if you find out you don't need them. So budget number one is so important. As I said, find ways you can cut your spending. So subscriptions to Netflix, Hulu, all different types of things, music, cups of coffee every single day. Things add up.
Apps, like on your phone, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
the other stuff like gym memberships, Pilates, karate, whatever. Baseball. If you have your, if you have kids and you have your kids,
yeah,
stuff like that. I mean, obviously that's all different budgeting, but it comes down to budgeting and prioritizing, bro. So it's like a system. But I like the whole budgeting though.
So yeah, exactly. Budget's important, man. I would say that look at your financial statements, look at your bank, you download a mobile app and go through and find out what you're spending money on. There's some apps that break this down for you actually pretty simply. There's an app called Truebill. You can use that. It's called Truebill. It's completely free for the basic version, and it literally tracks your subscriptions and your bills and all different types of stuff, your student loans, whatever it is. So make sure you put that in there, and just there's different types of apps you can use, but make sure you're tracking your spending and finding out because a lot of times we have expenses that we don't even use. You'll notice a lot of times you're not even using a lot of these TV subscriptions and stuff. So find ways you can call. Yeah, cancel subscription. Yeah, sometimes we develop unhealthy relationships with these things, and we just don't want to cut them out. But it's like if you're not utilizing it enough in a month, just cut it out. To be honest, and then you could go back if you really need to. But
because you're not using them a lot of time. You notice that too. Like for example, like I had a membership at 2 gyms at one point. Although I liked that because one gym was close to me, it was the Northeast Racquetball. I cut the membership off because I was like, I'm not going enough. But eventually, I probably will resume that membership. But right now, because I could go to the gym down there, the Fusion, by the airport, and the one down here by the old powerhouse. So I feel like I'm good on that. But this place here does have, I believe they have a pool. They have, a whole hockey spot there. They have like racquetball, they have basketball courts. So it's like, it comes in handy. But realistically, am I playing ball every day? No. I want to play all the time and kind of go back to my ball.
That's true.
So, like I said, see what I'm saying, bro? And you know how much I love basketball and playing sports and all this and working out, but I have a gym, so I'm like, I'll sacrifice that. They kind of, the whole thing, quarantine is coming off. They're putting the courts back, the rims and all that. I could go shoot outside, especially now that it's summer almost. But eventually I will get my membership there. But like you said, to make your point, a little stronger and to kind of continue your point, things you don't need, guys. It's better to cut them off. Just don't get greedy. Basically, get kind of all extra greedy and extra. You know what I mean? Kind of like stuck on what you want to do, and you know what I mean, and like almost like materialistic. But it becomes like more like it's almost like having different apps that you don't need, though, things you're not using. So, it's kind of like cut them off. And because it's all about taking the first step. Once you cut them off, you really don't need them. You realize, oh, what the hell was I using it for? But to get to the step could be a little hard. And I've been there. I can relate firsthand, bro. Shopping online, man, I really stopped doing that. I'll go on Amazon once in a blue. I don't go often because I know that if I go often, I'm going to click on something, add the card. And that click, bro, it's just hard, to hold back.
Yeah, definitely.
You gotta be careful. You gotta be responsible with your money.
Number 3, I would say with savings is set savings goals. So there's short-term goals, there's long-term goals. Set your goals. Find out what you want and then put goals towards it. So a short-term goal I would say on average is 1 to 3 years. Could be a vacation, could be a down payment on a car, could be an emergency fund. 3 to 9 months of a living expenses, I think, is a solid emergency fund. Long-term goals, anywhere from 4+ years, I think. Possibly a down payment on a home or a modeling project. Investment in a child's future education or retirement. These are long-term savings goals. Set small, short-term achievable goals first, and then build up to long-term goals. Plan of action, and we'll get more specific on these when we do these. Like that's why this is a series. We don't have to cover everything tonight. So
we don't have time for everything, but we'll get.
Yeah, exactly. I would say decide on your priorities, obviously, and I kind of already touched on that just looking at my notes. Decide on your priorities kind of goes with cutting your spending. Find the things that you prioritize. If you sincerely enjoy eating out, going out with friends, and you know that makes you happy, it makes you wholesome inside, it makes you still, and like you'll go to the gym during the week, you'll do all the things you need to do, you'll work hard, but you do enjoy that time with your friends or your significant other. I highly suggest, if that's something that you really, really need, then make it a priority. But also don't be ordering tons of things online too. If you can't afford to do all of that, then I would say don't do it. Like if you have certain goals, you're going to have to cut certain things, but enjoy the things that you need and cut mercilessly the things that you don't need. And you got to figure that out. You really got to figure out, because you can't do everything. You got to figure out what are wants and what are needs. That's what do
you need, right? Like a wise man once said, like God will give you what you need and what you really want, but if you get, the best you can hope for, especially in life, is, the things, and this gets a little, not to get too deep or too much of a topic, but in general, if you can correlate and kind of connect the things that you want or that you kind of crave, what you need and what's needed for you, and kind of, and what you should get as well, and put it together, then, you can consider yourself a lucky, blessed man, because there's a lot of things you want, but you don't really need, but you kind of want them. I mean, and again, what is to kind of want something, special, sort of like a craving or something, you want, like I don't know, like a desire, I guess, a want. It's something, that, your mind tells you really want to grab and you really need it, but you got to really evaluate, like, do I really need this? Or if you do need it, if you really want it, okay, you might not need it, but wait a little longer, and that's another thing, you kind of mentioned this, but I'll add this on to you because it goes what you said. If it's something you really want, but you feel like you don't need it right now, prioritize it, set a date. I'll do the same thing, be like, okay, May, my birthday's coming up May 25th. I might grab me something before my birthday. So something the first of the day, something, that comes in handy, something, that every man probably should have, and I'll grab something. I might grab me a little gift, right? I know that I'm going to get some gifts. None of them I'm expecting a lot of gifts for my birthday. I'm going to get a few things. So something I might want to get in April, early May, I might get in June. Like, all right, I'm going to write a date. I already time I'll get it. So it gives me time to prepare, to save, to not even save, just to kind of have it ready and I do what I got to do. I pay my loans, my bills. It's all about how you can manage a budget. Those kind of words, because, manage budget kind of like sound similar, but they really go hand in hand, bro. So yeah, just set dates, guys, set goals, and know what to, like you said, Steve, cut them off mercilessly, things you don't need. But if you feel like, you kind of like, you want it, it's kind of like in the gym thing. You can cheat on your budgeting a little bit, just very slightly, something small, but it's, if you had a really good week, and again, it comes down to more ways of income, which we'll get next time, because we don't have time today, but we'll talk about next time. When you're making some decent money, like I was making okay money, like last month, I was, working a little extra, other jobs, and I was able to, save a little more, and I was able to buy something. But I did a smart thing. I saved the money, I was like, let me just not go crazy, because, I'm still looking for, like, a better car, a better deal, paying some loans off. The new job is going to, kick in soon, hopefully, everything is going to go well. Plus, let's be real, bro. I know you can relate to this for sure. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you kind of hustle and work hard in the winter and like late fall, winter to kind of stunt a little in the summer? In the summer, you know, we go to the beach, we chill, trying to go hang out with somebody, you know, go out with some friends, hang out with your girl, significant other, with a girl, go do something. You talking about going to Vegas? You got to prioritize. You got to set everything aside and know how to work around everything. It's very easy to talk about, bro. A lot harder to do. And sometimes your mind tells you like you know how to do it. You can do it here. But when you're like by yourself, in front of like your bank statement account, your computer, home, you're like, oh, your phone, you're like, oh, you get a little caught up. But you know,
yeah, it's a lot easier said than done. Like words like budget and manage and all these other things, you know, they're easy to say, but I'm going to be realistic with you. Not everything you want is what you need. And unfortunately, you know, believe me, we all believe like, oh, I need this. But it's not the easiest thing in the world to cut your costs, but you know, that's why I said this requires a mental discipline, but you can still enjoy yourself, but you definitely need to, if you want to travel in the summer and you know that your trips are going to cost $1,000 a piece, you know, and you need to save money. Well, you can't be going out to, it's going to be harder for you depending on how much salary you make, what your income is, what your bills are. It's going to be hard to like keep up with the lifestyle that if you're especially
bingo, not right, how you spend your money.
Yeah, if you're not saving a lot of money to begin with, then you got to honestly question what's going on in your lifestyle. You got to look at where you're spending your money, and you got to find ways to cut that cost back. If you want to do new things and embark on new ventures that require money, then you're going to have to find ways to reduce what you're doing in your own lifestyle. Might not be easy, but that's why a budget is important, and that's why these things are important. And another tip that I have for you guys is make savings automatic. So how I say this is make sure that have money just taken out of your account that you don't even see every single month. That way it's out of sight, out of mind. I think that most of my accounts for my investment, for my credit cards, for my savings accounts, they're all automated. So I got money going into my IRA. I got money going into my brokerage account. I got money going into my savings. And then I have my credit card balances are automatically paid every single month. So I'm paying at least the minimum, and then I can flex it to whatever my credit card is, like whatever the balance is, I can flex it, but it's automatically taken care of, at least the minimum payments. But I'll be realistic. I pay the balance off of my credit cards every single month.
As you should. I like that, bro, and I like where you're going with this. Again, we'll kind of continue a lot of this stuff next time because I mean it is kind of getting almost time to wrap up in a few minutes.
Yeah, we can wrap up at 7:30. Honestly, we're probably not going to have a ton of time for investment, so we'll make it real quick. And honestly, unfortunately, we'll touch more on it on the longer episode.
Yeah, no problem. Wait, hold on, real quick. What we just talking about just now? It's kind of had like a little.
Just the savings aspect and budgeting. But yeah, I'll let you have the floor in just a second. Actually, the last thing I would offer you guys is I actually talked to you about this, George. This is a really concrete tip. If you're someone who spends a lot of money online, you're someone who does online shopping, as you talked about, Amazon, not just Amazon, like anywhere. eBay. If you really feel you want something, I would say put it in your shopping cart. Put it in your shopping cart. Like, you know what an online shopping cart is. Yeah, put it in your shopping cart.
Yep. It's on hold.
Yeah. Put it on your shopping cart and just let it sit there for 24 hours. Let it sit there for a day. If you still feel that strong desire that you really need it, then by all means buy it the next day. But I'm going to tell you from personal experience, a lot of times I feel like I need something, and this was a strategy that I heard about and I started using it. It was from a book that I listened to. Honestly, put it in your shopping cart, let it sit there for 24 hours, and a lot of times, I'm going to tell you like 70% of the time, you're going to notice that need goes away the next day. But if you really still need it, by all means buy it. But a lot of times you're going to figure out it was an impulsive buy. It was going to be an impulsive buy anyway. So that's my tip.
You might not need it. You know.
And then George, if you want to harp on some things on savings, and then we can just kind of get right into investment. We'll just do real quick.
Yeah. So no, I got you, bro. I mean, I know we're kind of rushing a little, but that's fine because we are kind of a little pressed for time.
Talk about.
Right. So real quick before I even go to I'm going to be really specific with mine. It's not going to be very short because some of them are repeat what you just said. But I do like the idea that you paid off all your, like you said, like your stockers, brokers, your stocks, your investments, credit cards, and what else you say you paid off? Like a lot of, or you not only paid off, but you're adding money in different accounts. You know what I mean? From your
I add money to my IRA every month. An IRA, for anybody who doesn't know, is an individual retirement account. I add money to my brokerage account, which is my short-term investment accounts, where money that I want to release early. IRA, by the way, you can't release your money without penalty until you're 59 and a half years old. So if you're that's a retirement account. It's long-term money.
Brokerage retirement account plan.
Right. Brokerage accounts are short-term investment accounts. So you can get a brokerage account with Robinhood, a quick app. Robinhood is a perfect example. And
public investment too, bro. Public investment is another one. But Robinhood is a little more sophisticated.
Yeah, if you make money on stocks and stuff, then you're investing in a company, and a stock is obviously an investment into a company. That's what stock is, and that's just So back to the main point, like you were saying. Yeah, I transfer money into my accounts, savings account each month. I transfer a little bit. I transfer money to my credit card, like that automatically pays off my credit card. But automation is the key.
With definitely automation, it's right. Going which is by the way, it's going directly. At my old job, even at the bank, when I opened an account before I left the bank job, I did it where 25%. You could do you could go right directly, or even like $30 out of I don't know, like a big ass paycheck could go there. And it might not seem a lot, but 30 every 2 weeks though. I mean, he adds up though, so that's a great way to do it.
Yeah,
and it's exactly. Goes automatically. So
okay.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. I'll let you go, man. Just the one thing, guys. By the time this series is over, by the time all these financial series is over, we will teach you how to automate your stuff, man. So maybe even you can learn something, bro. Like honestly, we'll get this going, and we'll show you guys how to automate your stuff. By the time this is over, so there's gonna be some long episodes in the future, but we'll share our screen. We'll literally show you how to do it.
We'll have some guests too, by the way, guys. Experts.
Yeah, that are a
thing or two. We're not experts, though, obviously, but
yeah, we'll get some people with expertise in here.
No doubt. Okay, real quick, bro. So I got me see 27. I got about 3 minutes, and then we'll finish. We'll do a little bit on investing, but we'll just kind of
we'll do investment for like 5 minutes. We're gonna literally make it quick.
So now, ways to save money. Basically, I'm gonna just go through them, bro. 4 ways for me. You kind of touched on a lot of them, so I'm not gonna touch extra on all of them, but I just mentioned all of them. So 1, start a saving account. Pretty freaking easy. We just talked about it. It's just something we just kind of mentioned. Start an account, guys. You're never too young to start a saving account. Me and you.
There's a lot of good ones.
18, maybe. I was 18 when I had my first one because I remember I used to work at Paul's Run. It's ironic. I started that job, bro, on this date on 4/29 back in 2006. I was working at Paul's Run, and I remember I got a small little account. I mean, I have obviously my checkings, but I also have my savings. So that's the way to kind of start. Again, the older you get, the more you get financially stable, and more the managing is a little better. More, you're more experienced. So save your money that way. That's one. Consistently put money in, so that kind of ties in the first one. For number 2, basically you start an account, and again, you either whether you're, I wasn't doing the managing, bro, the automatic one and going like directly. I didn't even have direct deposit for one, for a certain amount of time. When I did though, again, I had direct deposit on my checking, so I was like, I was getting money out and back and forth. At my other job, when I got older over the years, I did an automated one where I was getting like a small percentage from money, right to my savings, and that definitely helped, kind of like raise your savings and help you out, kind of develop your your account a little and build your funds, right? So this is another one. When you get a raise in your job, as you get a raise, don't think again. Speaking of lifestyle and invest your money when you get a raise. Don't think I'm getting more money now and go crazy spending it. It's very easy. It is easy to make more money if you get a raise. If you're sort of like you're going out to wait to make more money. You're busting your behind. You're hustling or whatever. More than one way of income. But to save it, to invest in some way is a whole different thing. That's the key. And we'll get into this more next time. But definitely, guys, invest your money. If you're making more, because the more you're making, the more you're going to spend. And that's natural. That's like on the laws of power, the laws of the universe. The more you have, you're more going to spend.
The average of the stock market goes up, bro. The average of the stock market goes up.
There we go. Yeah, exactly, bro. You nailed it. So definitely save, guys. And then for the last but not least, kind of like, again, it ties into 1 and 2. It's kind of like the same thing. But this is just something I put up. You don't got to do the same thing. Obviously, it's my concept of it, my idea, but I said take 30% of your check and save it. But also, let me just break it down real quick, right? It doesn't have to be every check either, guys, because you might be like, okay, well, George, 30% of your check's a lot of money. I got to do this. Yeah, if you're living check to check, it could be hard. And if that's the case, take 10%. But say you're not living check to check, but you also have a whole lot to bowl. You're living enough to be comfortable, but got to step it up a lot more. Like you were maybe like 5 years ago. We're kind of like in school, struggling a little, but we're good. Like we're good money wise. It doesn't have to be every check, guys.
I think the key is. Yeah, the key is just to get started, even if it's small amounts. Cozy yourself in, but just get started. You're obviously not going to go from not saving anything to go, I'm going to put 50% of my check into a savings account.
Put everything in your check. That's realistic. It takes some time.
It's not realistic. Yeah, it's like when you're dieting, when you think like, you eat a certain way, and you're like, I'm going to cut my calories by 2,000. It just doesn't work.
But it's not how it goes, bro.
it just doesn't work like that. You gotta start small and then add big. Like your tolerance will get higher.
As humans, bro, and especially comes to money, no one's born perfectly how to like save money, like know it all. You always kind of learn. Even financial advice, some of the best leaders, fiercest leaders, financial advisors, guys that save great money. It's like a natural thing. You save money naturally. We have friends that can do that too. And again, well, I hate to keep repeating myself. I'm going to get into a lot of stuff more next time. But take small steps, guys. We all spend money when you're young in a game and you're making money. You're working. Like I started working like 17, as far as like like in an actual job, not counting like side work or on the table or my dad or whatever. I even that stuff. I'd work at a club and a nursing home. So I was making money like from the club, like security. I was making like nice paychecks. Well, I thought they were nice when I was like 17, 18. No, I was actually 18, 19. I'm sorry. And I was taking small money, putting it away. I was also giving to my family. But you start small because you're not going to save it all right away, bro. It takes time. And we're at a point now where we know how to save money more. But the Steve of now, the Georgia now, it's not the same one. We're not the same ones of 10 years ago. Obviously, we know we're doing a little more now. So take small step, guys. The keys, I said 30%, but you can start with 10% or 30%. And depending on check, if it's a big check, take 50%. Because you're good, you're building up. So take 50 to your savings. Next paycheck, take 10%. Do one after that, the third paycheck in a row, in a month. Don't take nothing at all. Just don't spend it. Then that's how you build up. Again, you don't gotta do every paycheck, but if you're doing every paycheck, know one thing that you're definitely building your money a little more and you're saving well. So it's all makes sense about savings account. It doesn't get more basic than that. It's pretty easy to understand. You don't gotta be an expert.
Right, 100%.
So, and having said that, bro, this is my 4 ways or 5 ways, whatever I had there. And it's like 7:31, but if you don't take the time just to go over some small investments, it's like about 2 minutes. Do the shout out.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't we hop into it? Unfortunately, guys, we don't have the time to really like go like crazy with investments, but let's just make it like 5 minutes. Yeah. I'll harp on the points that I think are just most important. So if you're a new beginner investor, you've never invested before, I do want to break down, as I was kind of talking about, there's different types of ways you can invest your money. So number one, as I was saying, there's IRAs. IRAs are individual retirement accounts. They're long-term investment accounts. Short-term investment accounts can be like brokerages, which you can open through Robinhood, Charles Schwab. There's a lot of different ones. And that's the thing. I do want to go over these important points, but I don't want to give you too much in such a short time where like you're not going to remember it. That's why we'll harp on slow and steady is perfect with finance because it's the easiest way for you to retain it. So I'll hit on my 5 most important points here. Well, or just not 5, but just important points in general.
Yeah, some random ones. Whatever doesn't have to be like a list or whatever. Just a couple.
Yeah. So as I was saying, it's like an IRA is a long-term account. There's different types of IRAs. There's a traditional IRA and there's a Roth IRA. Roth IRAs allow you to contribute up to $6,000 a year, and Roth IRAs are taxed dollars that go into the individual retirement account. They're after-tax dollars. And when you retire on it after 59 and a half years old, a Roth IRA's funds are non-taxable. So you're not even getting taxed on what you're withdrawing, as long as you don't withdraw before you're 59 and a half years old. So that's the benefit of a Roth IRA. The downside is you can only contribute $6,000 a year. So if you make a lot of money, a Roth IRA might not be ideal for you if you make like $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, whatever the case may be. But Roth IRA, that's the benefits there. A traditional IRA, you're investing before tax dollars, but when you retrieve that money at 59 and a half years old, you are going to get taxed on it. So that is the difference. But with a traditional IRA, there's no like limit that like you can only contribute $6,000 a year. Oh, and I do want to say, I forget what the age limit is, but if you're contributing to a Roth IRA, was actually just talking to my mom about this, who was going to invest her some of her pension into her Roth IRA. You can actually contribute $7,000. She's I want to say 62, I think she's 62. You can, I think when you're 55 or 60, I forget the exact age, so don't quote me on it. If you're 55 or 60, you can actually contribute an extra $1,000 a year. So your limit is $7,000.
Up to 60, bro. I mean,
yeah.
After 55, you can kind of do it because I heard about that too, actually. That's why I was.
Yeah, so that's important with IRAs. Brokerage accounts. Most people are going to. It's never too early to save for retirement, but if you're trying to invest money, you're trying to make money, and you're trying to in a short term, you're going to want to go with a brokerage account. Robinhood is one that has worked well for me personally. I use a Robinhood account, and I just do like stock trading. And short-term accounts, you're going to notice a lot of people get you get more with stocks because stocks are going to bring you more return quickly. Now with IRAs, there's so many different funds. There's mutual funds. There's exchange traded funds, which are ETFs. There's bonds, stocks. There's a ton of different investment vehicles, a ton of different investment funds. I'm not going to have time to cover them all right now, but Index funds, ETFs, the long-term funds are the ones you're going to want to retire. Those are usually the funds you're going to want to look into when you're doing a long-term investment account like an IRA. Short-term, a lot of people like to do stocks, cryptocurrencies, a lot of different other things that are kind of
Acorns, cryptocurrency, definitely Bitcoin, and we'll talk about it more next time. But there's a lot of things you could do. You know what I
Bitcoin,
mean?
Dogecoin. There's a lot of different types of cryptos out there right now. Basically, my advice to you in investing is just start now. I know so many people that like when I ask them, "Have you ever invested?" and they're like, "No, I don't know how to. It's too complicated." It's not as complicated as you realistically think. Just get started. Just get started is the key. Even invest with $5, invest with $10, $20, $50, $100. Like just get started and do your research, because you can do your research from YouTube videos. There's popular YouTube channels that are well credited. You can literally find all the information that you need online. There's a couple. You know what? I'm gonna link some solid YouTube channels down below after this. I'm going to put them in the link below. There's some solid financial channels out there that I honestly personally listen to weekly. So definitely, because I know a lot, but I don't know everything. Like I can always learn more.
But these things are a little complicated, but at the same time, it's not hard to start. It's just when you don't know much about it, and that's when people get caught up. They're like, because they don't know much about it, they don't know research. Like, oh, how do I start? It's probably easy to start this thing, bro. That's actually to break it down in the podcast to talk about it. Believe it or not, it might be easier to just do it than actually explain it and talk about the insights, because explaining it takes some time. Doing it, if you kind of follow the steps, but if you not explain it, then you know what you're doing. It's easier, obviously, to really understand it when you're actually applying, when you're logging in, when you're
right. My 3 key tips to you are start now. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Start now. Number 2, figure out what your investment goals are. Now, just figure out what they are. Number 3, and the final one here, understand your risk tolerance. So you can lose money in the stock market too, but if you bet, like if you go with companies, you just got to look at the history, look at the company. The number 1 key: buy low and sell high. A lot of my investments I bought last year at COVID when they dropped significantly, and I can tell you right now from personal experience, I made a good amount of money on a lot of different stocks. This isn't even like ETFs or anything like that, off stocks of companies, because they dropped significantly during COVID, but they were companies that you knew were going to bounce back. So I'm
definitely going up, bro.
Buy low and sell high. Understand your risk tolerance. Understand if you have a high risk tolerance, which means you're someone who's willing to go a little bit more riskier, or if you're conservative, if you're someone who likes to play a little bit more safe, understand what type of investor you are.
Serve a little bit and get right. Understand what you're talking about, how much you can make. And again, guys, you might take a small loss, but honestly, I feel like the ratio is not that bad. People do take some losses.
You live and you learn.
You do more than you can gain, more than you can lose. But obviously, it's also how you invest. If you invest too much and you know what you're doing, or the market's having a little crash or something like, and no one could predict COVID, obviously, it just kind of happened, and we know how that went. But it's like sometimes there's gonna be some small things going on, but people are, like small obstacles and challenges, but people making money, bro. One of my boys called me from North Carolina. He's gonna be here tomorrow. He said, come to Philly, because he comes and visits like once or twice a month, and he does Bitcoin. He made some decent money. Now, he didn't invest a lot, but like you said, he started small, put some money in there, and he multiplied it, so he's making a little cash, enough to help him out, and he can add up to a couple hundred. I mean, he can go up to 1,000, even if it's a couple, just not even 100, just 50 here, 50 there. That's better than nothing, dude. Who's gonna give $50 out of nowhere, bro?
Yeah,
it's small.
I have some. Yeah, I have some Bitcoin, but honestly, it's hard to make a lot of money off it, just because it depends on how much you can invest in it. So Bitcoin right now is like, what's Bitcoin trading at today? I honestly didn't even look at the market today, unfortunately. Like last I saw, they were trading at like $51,000 for one Bitcoin. But the good thing about a lot of apps is you can actually, a good crypto app is Coinbase. Unfortunately, if you're looking to buy Dogecoin, they don't support Dogecoin. So you could buy that on Robinhood. Robinhood's a perfect example too. You can buy percentages of a stock. So Bitcoin's what, $51,000? You can buy $100 worth. Unfortunately, if it doubles to $100,000, you'll make what? $200. So unfortunately, guys, those are my tips. I don't have a lot of time to talk about investing. So the next episode of this, we'll focus a lot on investing. We'll definitely cover a lot on this.
We cover a lot of solid ground. I mean, I'll be honest. Hold on.
We started at what, like 6:35, so we did a little over an hour, unfortunately.
Yeah, cool, but I mean, again, this thing can drag a little, but we touched on some good topics, and we can kind of cut it short soon. But
we can cut it short in the next 2 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's important to kind of like follow up on this one. Again, it might not be the next episode, guys, exactly, but we might eventually start doing it like a little segment of our podcast. And like, now we have episode today's 32. and he's the first one, this particular one, well, the next one could be the second one, and we'll just be like number 2 on the finance tip only. And then we can kind of do this like almost like a special segment of our show. We'll continue our main topics. So it's almost like the same podcast, but our main, numbers in our episodes, and then specific episodes only for this one. And it'll be like, I guess this could be the first one, or we can have another one, officially be the 1, 2, 3, and we'll call it the financial, advising, segment or something like, we'll come up with something like that, because there's definitely ways to do this, we'll talk about it more behind the scenes, and we'll explain to you guys too.
We'll call it like the weekly financial piece or something. You know what I'm going to do? We'll set up some polls. Yeah, we'll set up some polls through our social media. So when we do the next finance segment, what you guys mainly want to hear us talk about on finance? Is it credit, savings, investing? I'm assuming most of you are probably going to want to. I'm assuming most of you are probably going to want to hear about investing, just going off speculation because we didn't talk that much about it here. But we'll do some polls. We'll set some polls up, and we'll see. We honestly want to hear your feedback. So we want to see what you want to hear about. So I think investment is crucial, though. A lot of people I know don't really know that much about it.
It's the present and the future, Brian. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't know much about investments like a year or two ago. Now I'm a little more familiar, but as you go, we learn. And today was actually a very productive show so far. We learned like a decent amount. I mean, we talk about a few good things. Just doing the research for this episode, Brian, trying to get us. I mean, I have notes, of course. You probably sent notes too, but it was good to kind of like go over a lot of things. And I learned as I went. Even just today, I learned a few things yesterday, right before that, because I started doing research like that 2 nights ago. But the problem itself was good for this one. So we covered some good topics. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I mean, I know I did. It was a little shorter than usual, but we got to do what you got to do and cut a little short. Quick little thing. I mean, did you want to say anything, bro? I just want to say that we will be working more on our podcast page for the IG. And again, I know we've done this for a while, but definitely on the YouTube page. It's another thing kind of focusing on. And obviously, me and you will meet up as well for one of our meetings. But did you want to say anything else before we kind of like go to the very last topics? I mean, or the last closing statements.
Our Instagram and Facebook pages have grown the last couple weeks compared to weeks prior where it was a little bit stagnant. YouTube page, definitely got to grow, and just keep updates with the website. Ultimately, I was happy to be here with you guys tonight, happy to offer you guys advice. Like I said, we'll put some polls, and I'm going to link some YouTube channels in the comments, of financial channels where you guys could probably get some really, really solid advice. One guy's name's Graham. I forget what his actual name is. I'll find his channel, though, and I'll link their channels down below. That I honestly listen to weekly, so you guys can get as much advice as you can. I'll even link the name of some solid audiobooks on finance where you guys can really learn a lot of stuff. I guess before I let you get your closing comments in, I guess I'll just say, guys, happy draft night. The draft kicks off in about 18 minutes. So, Eagles fans,
what channel is the draft?
On channel 10 or 6 or something like that. I forget, or I don't know if it's on ESPN. I totally forget. To be honest, man, it's been a long day. Haven't really been keeping up, but I'm definitely going to check in on it. The Eagles have the 12th pick tonight, so we'll see what happens.
Let's see how it goes, bro. I just want to say real quick. So, shout out to our previous guest, Bledy Noka. That's my
shout out to Bledy.
Yep, we had a good little episode last week. Appreciate them coming and all that. And we usually kind of do this like we usually shout out the guys that came to before. If we don't forget that is, we usually kind of stay up on that. Obviously, sometimes there's no guest. There's no guest, so next week will be a little different. But yeah, we kind of want to shout out the guys that you come, because we'll probably bring a lot of our guests back. And also, guys, we're not going to give away too much, but we have a lot of guests coming up for you guys soon. So it's going to be some very good episodes. Everything from restaurants to food to shows to filming and videography and all that, to obviously finances and assets and all that. To not go bankrupt to save money, but this is definitely going to be cryptocurrency and like Bitcoin, all this good stuff on those topics will be on these kind of like episodes, and we'll probably start doing that monthly shows. So we have 32. Let's say we're at episode 35 in a couple of weeks. We'll have 1 or 2 already that are not considered, not part of 35, not including what we're doing right now on the obviously on the shows on the finance part. So we'll get to that. We'll get that kind of off the ground a little, because one of the main things that we talk about, it's also the personal development, which finance got to do with it too. So obviously kind of correlates.
Oh, yes.
And, like I said, always, shout out to our viewers. We're happy to, bring guys good content. 32 episodes in the game, so we've been, pretty good so far. And we keep, we're going to keep on going, and we plan on, giving you guys, some great content as we go and some great episodes, so keep the dream alive, keep going, guys. Drink water, so you don't get dehydrated. It's really hot out here. And that'll be all for me. Anything else to say, bro, before we really kind of exit the room and, we call it a night?
No, I think you made some good points, man. And just harping off what you said, shout out to Bledy Noka. It was a pleasure meeting you, bro. If you're watching, and we'll look forward to having you on soon, and we'll collaborate in person and stuff like that. But Yeah, for sure. I think I'll just wrap it up here, man. Unfortunately, wasn't able to harp on everything for investment, but like I said, this is a series. It's a process. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So we'll get to these as a classic quote. You know what I'm saying? But it's we can't go too fast with this because it'll be hard to learn if we put too much in a short time.
The
So
marathon continues. Nipsey Hustle.
yeah, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. Honestly, you know, it was a pleasure working with you tonight, bro, as always. And to everybody out there, thank you for watching. Let us know your feedback. It's crucial. And I'm gonna leave some links down below for you guys to check out, and we'll put some polls up.
Yeah, it was a good show, man. I agree, man. Definitely very good stuff, man. I look forward to talking to you again soon, bro. I'll probably see you maybe during the week. I'll actually call you later. Maybe we'll go look out during this weekend. We can go over a few things as well. But
yeah, we'll collab for the podcast over the weekend or something.
Yeah. Like I said, and one more thing, guys, before I let you go. Like, we might do some shows. Like, remember we talked about doing a show the other day? I don't think, I mean, I wasn't in. I don't know if you did or not, but we might do, guys, some small content like during the week. Like, you know, when we grow a little more, like, you get the Thursday nights or Friday, depending on the night. And this is the show. And, of course, the monthly ones of finances. But might do like a 20-minute small segments here and there, 15 minutes, 10 minutes even, you know. So we'll give you guys some extra content, like some small mini shows during the week, weekly, you know, sort of like catching up. Call it that, you know.
Yeah, quick notes and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Now, bro, I feel the breeze. Now we're talking. Now it's cool, man. It was hot as a motherfucker in here.
Exactly. Well, all right, guys. I'm gonna take off for the night. It's a pleasure meeting you guys. We'll see you guys. We'll be in contact with you guys over the weekend next week, and we'll see you guys next week for episode 33. Take care, guys. Have a great night, and you have a great night as well, bro.
See you guys soon. Have a good night, bro. I'll talk to you soon, and be cool.